What's up, guys? I'm Travis, and you're watching our upgraded SCX6 Trail Honcho build series. Come on! Come on! Welcome back, guys. We made it to video number 10 of our upgraded SCX6 Trail Honcho build series. Now, guys, we've already done the tires and the foams and the wheel spacers and the hex hubs. We've done the axle housings, the axle shafts. We've done all of the links. We've done drive shafts. We're making our way up. Can you see the foundation we have created now to be able to handle everything else we're going to throw at this in the future? So, guys, since we're up to the frame, the next thing in line that's going to connect everything is our shock. So real quick, let's do an update from the last video. We installed an aluminum Vitavon skid plate. Worked out good, gave us all the strength and support we needed. The body and the frame didn't twist in there as much as it did before. We've also put the stainless steel skid plate cover over that aluminum skid plate to protect it. Worked out great. I was worried about it getting hung up in the front and stuff. Did not whatsoever get hung up at all. Slid across the rocks really, really good. I think it was a great upgrade. Now, the other thing that we did in that video is we put some Vitavon steel drive shafts on there. Worked great, guys. Gave us all the power, took away all the flex we got from the plastic. It's a thinner diameter on the tube, so I believe it did give us a little bit more clearance on some of the rocks, helped us get over it better. Now, besides that, we went ahead and put Vitavon high clearance aluminum links on here, which I complained about a lot because they're not adjustable. I'm still kind of upset about that. But you know what, guys? These aluminum links from Vitavon, they're worth it, guys. Even though they're not adjustable, it definitely helped me get over some of the same obstacles without hitting anything at all. Okay, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into this right away. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the shocks here. I'm going to pull these off, the stock ones, and we're going to do some comparison. We're going to weigh them. I'm going to go through everything and point out the pros and the cons. And then we're going to get into the shock oil here, all the different weights you have available, what's going to work best for you. I'm also going to show you how to fill your shocks and bleed them. And then there's one other option. There are 3 options on these shocks, whether you want a shock with rebound, you want a dead shock, or you want the other option. Okay, we'll get rid of that bag. Let's see what's in this bag. Well, Vitavon was nice enough to send us some new Allens here. I'm not sure if we need them or not. We'll find out. And we've got the upper and the lower Allens. And then they also sent us this spacer right here. So on your stock shocks, you've got this one-piece spacer that goes into your eye here, and it comes out on the other side with a permanent built-on spacer. It's all one piece. On the Vitavon shocks, I'm assuming they do this because it fits multiple things, but you've got your regular eye here, and then you've got this spacer here, which is going to make it exactly the same distance. Okay, so right away I can see just by putting these side by side that the Vitavon is quite a bit longer than the stock ones. Now, Axial is claiming that eye to eye on theirs is 145 millimeters. I've got my caliper set to 145. Let's see what we got here. If that ball would stop moving. Guys, I'd say that's pretty much exactly it. 145 millimeters is the total length of the stock one. Let's check our Vitavon here. They're claiming 150. I'm going to go ahead and set my calipers to 150. There we go. Oh, wow. No, the Vitavon is actually longer than that. Let's go ahead and see how much longer it is. I'm going to say that's it, guys. 153 millimeters on the Vitavon. So these are 8 millimeters longer or taller, however you want to say it. Okay, now what we're going to do here, and guys, my shocks, the way I'm running them right now, I have them set up as a dead shock. That means that when you push your rod all the way in, it's not going to have any rebound and come back out on its own. It's going to stay all the way in. That's pretty much the way I like to run them. I change it up here and there on different vehicles, but anyway, let's see what we got right here, fully compressed. So that is exactly 105 millimeters. And we know that when we pulled this out to full length, we had 145 millimeters. So there is 40 millimeters of travel on this stock SCX6 shock from Axial. Okay, something's going on, guys. I don't know if the piston's hitting the top or what's going on here. We need to pull this, this end off here, this cap, and I got to see what's going on. That's not right. If that's as far as the travel we got, that is not good. Let's see here. Get this cap off and hopefully that'll bring some light to see what's going on here. There is oil in here. I don't know what it is, but look at all the air bubbles. It is packed full of air. I don't know what kind of oil they got in here, if it's just something they put in here for shipping. But we're going to put the oil that we want to put in here. Let me just go ahead and get this all the way out. Now, I see something right away I don't like. Look at this piston here. Look at how much further it comes out past the top of the shock body. Guys, that's not normal. I can't say I've ever seen any shock where the piston comes completely out of the housing. I don't think that's going to end up being a good thing. Okay, there we go. Don't lose that little O-ring on the end there if you're doing this. Let's put this back together. All right, now we should be able to push this all the way in. Nope, it only goes to right there. So that piston is hitting the shock cap on the top. That is terrible. I don't like that at all. And it looks like we're going to have less travel. So eye to eye here with this fully compressed as far as it'll go. Right there, that's pretty much it. That is 118. So 118 fully compressed, fully extended, we had 153. That is 35 millimeters difference. So, all right, let's go ahead and examine these a little bit closer side by side. It looks like the stock shock is all aluminum body housing here, as well as the adjuster nut for the preload spring is aluminum. And then you've got plastic shock cap on the top and a plastic rod end on the bottom. Looking at the Vitavon here, it is all aluminum body housing. Your adjuster nut is aluminum as well. It seems to turn a little bit easier. The threads are a little bit closer together. It's a tighter pitched thread than this one here, which is going to give you a little bit more adjustment. And then our shock cap on the top is aluminum, as well as the rod end on the bottom is aluminum also. Next, let's look at these rods here because they look like they're different sizes to me. We measure this one out at exactly 5 millimeters. Measure this one out exactly 6 millimeters. These are the spring retainers, and it looks like it definitely is. The stock one is plastic, whereas the Vitavon one is aluminum. Here are the springs side by side. Now, it looks like they are the same exact height, guys. I guess that Vitavon can get away with going with the same height spring because they have less travel, even though it's a taller shock. Now, if we turn these on the side here, you'll notice that all these coils are exactly the same distance from each other, whereas here we've got coils on the top that are the same, and then you get closer to the middle and towards the bottom, and the coils seem to be a little bit further apart. Now this is called a progressive rate spring, so that when you're going over some of them small bumps, guys, the top here where the coils are closer together is going to take up all that small stuff. It's going to give you a really smooth ride. That's what it's for. When you work your way down here and the coils are further apart, that's going to give you a stiffer ride. It's a little bit more compression. So basically, as you're moving along and you hit the small bumps, this is going to compress first before this does. That's what makes it a progressive spring rate. I really like that. Well, let's go ahead and check the wire size here on these springs. This one is 2 millimeters exactly. This one looks like it's a little bit bigger. This one is 2.2, not very much, but that does mean it's a little bit stiffer spring rate than this one. So let's talk about shock oil for a minute, guys. There's a bunch of different manufacturers out there that make it. There's a bunch of different weights. What I've got right here is 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Now they go up past that, and you can also get shock oil weights that are less than that. Make sure, no matter what kind you get, make sure it's a silicone-based shock oil. That's going to keep your O-rings and your seals in great shape. It keeps them lubricated. It also helps the inside of your aluminum shock body so that there's no corrosion or problems with it. So I would recommend a good silicone-based shock oil. I run Team Losi Racing. I've been running this for, oh God, at least 10 years, probably more than that. I've had zero problems with it, and you can really tell the difference when you go from 30 to 40 weight or 40 to 50. You can really feel the resistance that's being applied at the piston. So what's going on here for all you guys that don't know? You have a piston inside this shock body here, and some companies, they're replaceable, some companies, they're not. But it doesn't make the piston bigger or smaller. What the difference is these pistons have either 2, 3, or 4 holes drilled in them. So when you change out your piston to a larger size so that it flows more oil, you'll have the same amount of holes, probably. They're just going to be drilled out bigger. Other companies will have more holes or less so that you can flow more oil or less oil. That's kind of what it's about. So depending on the weight of the shock oil that you're putting in here, that's going to be the amount of resistance being applied to the piston, so that when your rod's going in and out, if you go with a really lightweight oil here, your rod's going to go in and out a lot easier, a lot faster. There's less resistance. Whereas a thicker oil is going to put more resistance. It's going to come in and out slower. So the heavier weight oil is better for heavier vehicles. I didn't tell you guys this, but a couple weeks ago, I noticed my truck is getting a lot heavier than it was stock, and my shocks just weren't giving me the same performance I had before. So I went ahead and jumped up. And by the way, the stock shock oil for the SCX6, so you guys know, is 35 weight. I went ahead and doubled that and jumped up to 70 weight. Wow, I got all my performance back. I got the resistance I was looking for, and everything worked out well. There is really no right or wrong way to do this. It's just based on what you're trying to get out of your vehicle for that particular application that day. Okay, so I'm sorry to say that you're going to be in and out of your shocks a lot if you want it to perform well. Maybe you just want to throw 50 in there and just go with it all year. That'll probably work for you. You're going to notice some difference as the climate changes and the terrain changes though. So anyway, guys, without further ado here, let me just go ahead and get into this. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to use the stock shock for this because of the piston on the Vitavon one hitting the cap. I don't know how well this is going to work out yet. So we're going to do these experiments with the stock one so you guys can see what's going on, because I know what's going on with it. And then we'll go ahead and go to the Vitavon and fill those up. So let's start off with your first option here, which is going to be what most people are running. They want to fill the shock body up to the top with oil and then go ahead and bleed them out through the screw to get the air out, and you will have what's called a dead shock. When you push in here, it will not come out. The other option I'm going to show you is where you fill the oil up to the very top here and you do not bleed it. Now you have rebound pushing your rod back out. The third option is filling your body here 3/4 of the way full with oil and not bleeding them. Now you're going to have just a very, very little bit of rebound. It's pretty much going to be considered a dead shock, but now you have got that little bit where you did not add oil. Let's just call it a 1/4 inch. You're going to have a 1/4 inch of air in there that's going to create a cushion. Lots of people think that air is bad in shocks, guys. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you do not want a dead shock and you want just a little bit of rebound, or you want that cushion from that air so that when you're pushing up right here like this, you can feel the difference right when the piston gets to that air. You can feel the pocket and you can feel it go up a little bit easier than on the bottom. It's pressure, 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 and then all of a sudden it gives. So the air is going to create a cushion pocket for you to give you a smoother ride. And it's very unlikely that you're going to compress your shock all the way that far anyway. So it's just kind of giving you a variable rate of resistance there, so to speak. And that's kind of the way I run mine. I never really fill mine all the way to the top with oil. Usually I fill them 1/2 or 3/4, depending on what I'm trying to do, once again. But I do find out that when I fill it to 3/4 and leave that air cushion in there, I like the way it performs. Let's go ahead and we're going to fill this one up to the top, and then I'm going to let it sit for a minute in my little tray here that I made, and we'll let all the air bubbles come out for about 5 minutes. After that, I'm going to go ahead and screw the top back on, and we're going to show you some of these different scenarios so you guys can figure out which one will be best for you. All right, guys, it's been about 5 minutes here. It looks like I can see crystal clear all the way to the bottom of my shock body. All the oil is clear, the air is out. Now we're going to go ahead and just screw this back on. And there's no reason to use any tools here. Just get it fairly snug with your hand. There you go. We're going to go ahead and cycle this a couple more times. And look at this, guys. Look how far I can push it in. That's it. You know why? Because this is full to the top of oil and we haven't gotten any of the air out yet. So it's just, that's as far as it'll go, and it has got a lot of rebound in it. So if that's what you guys are looking for, you can go ahead and do that and you'll get rebound. If you want to go all the way in full with your travel, which you do, go ahead and dump a little bit of this oil out. You've got too much oil in there, so you want to make sure this will compress all the way in, and then you're set. But that's how you get your rebound, guys. So if you do not want rebound in this, what you're going to do is go ahead and take out your bleeder screw. Okay, now that we got that out, I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm going to go ahead and put this underneath, because as you're pushing down on the rod, what that's going to do is push oil out and air out. So we're going to go down real slow here so we don't push too much oil. We're really just trying to get the air out. We're pushing down all the way down to the very bottom. And we haven't taken any oil out. So we're still full to the top. Let's go ahead and put our bleeder screw back in now, holding it down, fully compressed. All right, there we go. Now let's see what's going on. See how now it's dead, but it still won't go in all the way, guys. See that we have no more rebound on it, but it still won't go in all the way. So we've got too much oil in there. What we're going to do is pull this all the way back down, and I'm going to take a little bit of this oil out so I can show you guys this scenario correctly. Let's go ahead and just take just a little bit out. I'm just going to tip it like that. That's probably plenty. I didn't take very much out at all. And now instead of being at the very top, I can see about, oh, it looks like about 1/8 of an inch. We'll go ahead and screw our cap back on. Now, without bleeding it, if you push in, see how we can go all the way now? Now we have the full amount of travel, and I've still got just a little bit of rebound there. There's still some air left in there because we just opened the cap up. Sometimes you have to bleed it 2 or 3 times, guys, to get the air out. And I'd recommend cycling it like this in between, and then go ahead and take your bleeder out again and do the same thing, and you'll get rid of the rest of this. Now, the third option I was telling you guys about, if you don't want a dead shock completely and you don't want the rebound completely, just go ahead and dump a little bit more oil out. We want to have about a 1/4 inch showing with no oil is where I like to run it. Like I said, you guys can do anything you want to. There you go. Now you can see that I'm about a 1/4 inch down from the top, and we do have quite a bit more air in there now, but I don't really need to let it set for this scenario. But we do want to make sure that that is popped back out again. See how it's pushed in? We do not want that. There you go. Okay, now it's back out. With all the air bubbles still in there, we're just going to go ahead and put the cap back on. There you go. Wipe off some of this oil. We are not going to undo the bleeder screw. We're going to cycle it a couple times, and what do we got? Okay, see how it just barely comes out, just a little bit, not much. There's just a hair of rebound there, but this is pretty much considered a dead shock. It won't return, and it won't go in and push out anything more than that 1/4 inch because we have a 1/4 inch of air there. All right, guys, I went ahead and filled the Vitavon shock bodies up with 78 oil, like I said, and put them back together. I left one apart because I want to show you guys something else that I found here. If you'll notice in the top of this Vitavon shock cap, there is no rubber dampener at all. I don't know why they're doing that. I don't know why Vitavon is changing the design of the common shock so much. So I really hate that, guys, that I can't take this all the way up in there, but I guess it is what it is. Anyway, we got our dead shock here. And one of the other things, before you put your spring back on, go ahead and take your shock tool or your pliers with a rag or whatever you got and hold that rod. And I noticed that all of these are just kind of finger tight, guys. So go ahead and stick your Allen back in that eye and tighten this up. As tight as you can get that one. It's going to move on you, but just get it as tight as you can get it. Make sure that this is all the way in and that is not loose, and your cap is on and you didn't pinch your O-ring and you've got your bleeder screw tight. That's about it. Now your adjuster screw, what I'm doing is I'm taking this adjuster screw all the way to the top on all these because we want all of our shocks to be the same height when we're starting, and then we can adjust from there. And then I'm taking my spring and I'm putting the tighter coil to the top. I don't really think that matters, but it's just a preference for me, and I want them all to look the same. Then we'll go ahead and put our retainer back on here, pop it down, and make sure your shock isn't loose enough to where, see this right here, to where it's going in and out. If it is, take your adjuster nut and turn it down a little bit more so that you get rid of that. But you want all these to be about the same adjustment on your adjuster nut starting out, and then you can adjust it from there. So that's it, guys. Go ahead and push it in and out. Make sure it's got smooth operation, it's not binding anywhere. Now I did notice on these, if I go all the way up to the top, it gets sticky. And I believe that has something to do with the piston coming out of the housing. It may or may not be snagging on the side of the body coming back down because it's not lining up right. Like I said, it's really a stupid design, guys. I don't know why they did that, but it does seem to be pretty smooth. We're gonna go ahead and run it for you. I bought them, I wanna see what's gonna happen. So we're going to run them. I may or may not be putting these back in or looking for a different shock, but for right now, we're going to run these and see what happens. All right, so that's pretty much going to wrap up this video, guys. Now, when you get it all back together like this, your adjuster nut for the preload we were talking about, go ahead and put all your batteries in here, put anything on here that you're going to have on here when you're out running, so you got all the weight you have, and then go ahead and adjust your compression nuts on both sides, front and rear, left and right, until your vehicle, number one, is level. It's not off to one side or the other. It's not forward or backwards. Make it level everywhere, and then you can go ahead and adjust it down more if you want to so that you have more or less sag, or more or less compression. Once again, that's another part of the Rubik's Cube, guys. It's up to you wherever you want that at for whatever you're doing at that point in time. I usually try to get mine pretty level, and then I'll give it about a 1/2 inch of sag so that when you're picking it up and you let go, it only goes down about a 1/2 inch, and that's kind of where I like mine at. Now, if you turn your nut more so that you get more compression, obviously it's going to pick your vehicle up higher. I'm gonna go give these a good solid run for their money. We'll see what happens. You'll know if they're still on here in the next video or not. Speaking of the next video, guys, I've got something all you guys have been asking me for. I've gotten at least 20 comments on this. You guys wanted to know if I was going to get the Mickey Thompson Baja Pro X tires and put them on here. Well, guess what? Here they are. I got them. Now, I put this together just to see if the wheels were going to hit on the steering knuckles or anything else. That's the only reason why I put these together, and I wanted to stick it on the truck and see what it would look like. I'm waiting on some foams right now. Once I get the Crazy Crawler Extreme Plus foams in here, the same exact thing you guys see me put in here. I love these foams. At the beginning, I was telling everybody, wow, they're a little bit stiff, but as you add more weight to the vehicle and as you run it more, they do break down and they get a little bit softer. So that's what I'm going with. As soon as my Crazy Crawler foams come in, which should be this week, the next video I'm planning on doing is on installing that Crazy Crawler foam into these Baja Pro X's. So you guys will get to see these. You'll know what it's all about. And by the way, look at this wheel. Look at how beautiful this Terrell Hobbies honeycomb cut wheel is. I love that. So we're going to go ahead and install all that on there, and we're going to see what kind of traction we get. I did notice the lugs on here are extreme. They're way taller than the Super Swampers, and these tires are wider than the Super Swampers. They are taller than the Super Swampers. Guys, this tire is massive. So we will get those on there, and we'll go run it around and see what everybody thinks of that. Besides that, guys, there's a lot more coming up. I mean, don't forget about our Vitavon all aluminum transmission case we're going to be putting in here. We're going to go through the transmission. We're going to clean all the gears up. We're going to get some of that Vanquish Blue Gear rock lube in here so it's lubed up really good. And besides that, look what I got in the other day. This is from Three Brothers Racing. This is the Black Jacket 8S, guys. So we got this. We've got the Monster Mamba S or X, the 8S that we're going to be putting in here with that. I've got bumpers. I've got a winch we're putting in here. I mean, I got a lot left to do to this vehicle, guys. Just like every time you guys see me, I'm always talking about, wow, there's a lot left to do. There really is. We're on video number 10 right now. I'm expecting this to be somewhere around 20, 25 videos to complete this truck. So there's a lot more, guys. If you guys are interested in this, you're in the market for any of the stuff that we got here, I'm giving you an honest review. I'm showing you how to put it in. We're going to go ahead and adjust it. We're going to go run it, and I'm telling you guys honestly what I really think of it. Vitavon's been pretty good so far. I'm not very happy with these shocks the way they are, but let's see how they perform. I wasn't happy with the links either, and you know what? They turned out to be great. So I'll let you guys know in the next video what I think of these shocks. Until then, it's kind of a gloomy day out there, but I'm going to get out there. I'm going to run this around. I'm going to get you guys some video footage, and so I can tell you what I think before next weekend on the next video that's coming out. Guys, I'm Travis. You're watching Upgraded RC. Until the next video is out, which is just right around the corner, peace out.